My name is Nathan White, and I'm from McKendree University in Lebanon, Illinois. And I believe you've already met Dr. Yair Levy, who is from Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are currently conducting research into a driver's need to text, and I will be presenting BLASST, our model that we will use in our research. The number of drivers who text while driving has been increasing. From 2009 to 2010, the number of drivers who text and drive increased by 50% in the United States. Unfortunately, this behavior distracts the driver and has an adverse effect on the driver's ability to control a vehicle. The texting driver is 4 times more likely to not look at the road. As you can imagine, this leads to erratic driving behavior. Unfortunately, the number of fatal accidents associated with the texting driver has also been increasing significantly. Although the majority of states have enacted legislation prohibiting texting while driving, there has not been a corresponding reduction in the number of crashes attributed to texting. In fact, the actual number of fatal crashes may be much higher than the reported number due to inconsistencies in police reports across the U.S. Our research seeks to address the problem of the increase in automobile accidents attributed to the driver's manipulation of handheld devices for texting. Given the relative newness of this problem, it is not surprising that there is not yet consensus on the motivations that lead drivers to text. Our research will treat texting while driving as an addiction. As you will see from Goodman's definition of addiction, texting while driving fits nicely within this construct. Whether seeking pleasure through maintaining social relationships or hoping to avoid discomfort, individuals who compulsively text have been shown to exhibit patterns of an addiction. The texting driver may be attempting to produce pleasure. Individuals create, develop, and maintain social relationships through their online and texting activities. By maintaining their social relationships while driving, the driver may hope to experience some level of social gratification. The texting driver may also be attempting to avoid discomfort. Another reason that a driver may wish to maintain social relationships is to reduce their level of social anxiety. Socially anxious individuals have shown a preference towards using relatively low-risk communications such as texting to reduce their social anxiety and, when unable to text, have shown a marked increase in social anxiety. Therefore, the inability to use texting for social communications while driving may lead to an increase in the anxiety level of the driver. Prior research has indicated that an individual addicted to texting is likely to develop loneliness and increasing levels of social anxiety when prevented from texting. Mobile phone use has been shown to allow users to escape feelings of loneliness. If unable to text, this loneliness may elevate social anxiety and boredom, discomforts the driver is hoping to avoid. Similar to symptoms of internet addiction, compulsive texters experienced withdrawal-like symptoms when they were not texting, used texting to relieve uncomfortable feelings, and were unsuccessful in repeated efforts to cut back or stop their messaging behavior. The distraction caused by texting is known to have serious consequences and significant legal liabilities. Despite evidence that the majority of drivers understand the serious and potentially fatal consequences of texting while driving, drivers continue to text. We will use the BLASST model to empirically validate the influence of boredom, loneliness, social anxiety, social gratification, and social relationships on an individual's decision to text while driving. We will also explore the moderating influence that the presence of a passenger may have upon a driver's texting behavior. In addition, we will use the BLASST model to investigate whether drivers' perceived severity of potentially fatal consequences of texting while driving influences their texting behavior. Finally, we will use the BLASST model to compare a driver's self-reported texting behavior to what one or more of the driver's family members report about the driver's texting behavior. Relationships formed and maintained via electronic communication tend to offer deep, meaningful relationships to the participants and are characterized by significant intimacy in the interactions. This intimate interaction and chatting leads to greater social gratification. The BLASST model will seek to investigate whether a driver's texting will further these deep, meaningful relationships and lead to a significant increase in the driver's social gratification. Therefore, the first hypothesis of our study is drivers who maintain social relationships while driving will significantly increase their social gratification. Individuals use texting to maintain and enhance their social relationships by staying connected to their social group. The norms of one social group may also influence the need to maintain these social relationships continually. This need to constantly be connected to one social group has been significantly linked to compulsive texting. However, it appears that very limited attention has been provided in research to suggest that maintaining these social relationships would reduce a driver's social anxiety. Therefore, the second hypothesis of this work-in-progress study is drivers who maintain social relationships while driving will significantly decrease their social anxiety. Frequent texting has also been shown to reduce one's level of loneliness. Compulsive texters may use texting as a distraction from upsetting emotional states, such as loneliness, thereby reducing their level of social anxiety. However, in the context of driving, it is still unclear if the loneliness felt by drivers increases their social anxiety when prevented from texting. Thus, the third hypothesis of this work-in-progress study is the loneliness experienced while driving will significantly increase a driver's social anxiety. Loneliness can also influence one's feeling of boredom. Texting has been shown to lower one's level of loneliness and subsequent boredom. However, what has received little attention specifically in the context of texting while driving is whether a driver's loneliness will increase his boredom. Thus, the fourth hypothesis of this study is the loneliness experienced while driving will significantly increase a driver's boredom. Frequent texters use text messages to interact with friends and to maintain social connections. Drivers use cell phones for voice calls, regardless of the risk involved or if there are laws prohibiting it. Drivers perceive that the gratification from these calls is greater than the risk, and then accept the risk by placing the calls. To extend this research to texting while driving, the fifth hypothesis of this study is the pleasure from social gratification will significantly increase a driver's texting. Anxious individuals use texting as a way of maintaining social contact and relieving their social anxiety. Compulsive texters frequently use texting to relieve their feelings of social anxiety. High levels of social anxiety have also been observed in individuals who are compulsive texters. Texting affords non-driving individuals a way to maintain their social relationships and reduce their level of anxiousness. However, in the context of texting while driving, it appears that it hasn't been determined yet if texting while driving offers the same affordances to the driver. Therefore, the sixth hypothesis of this study is the discomfort from social anxiety will significantly increase a driver's texting. It is known from research that a common solution to boredom is frequent texting. In a similar response that the compulsive texter has to loneliness, texting is used as a distraction from boredom. When bored, many individuals are confident that they will find at least one friend or relative who will instantly respond to a text message, thereby alleviating some of the boredom. To extend these studies, the seventh hypothesis of this study is the discomfort from boredom will significantly increase a driver's texting. Passengers are uncomfortable riding with a texting driver. Passengers are also likely to confront a driver when their driving behavior puts the passenger at risk. On the other hand, younger drivers have shown a significant increase in risky driving behavior when passengers are present. Unable to delay their need for gratification, younger drivers see their risky behavior as one way to satisfy this need. In addition, socially anxious individuals seek to leave a desirable impression of themselves. Though to our knowledge not previously researched, this desire may influence a driver's texting behavior when a passenger is present. Furthermore, conversing with a passenger has been shown to help a driver cope with boredom. However, the impact of a passenger on a driver's use of texting to reduce their boredom doesn't appear to be reported in literature. Given this inconsistency and gap in previous research, The 8th set of hypotheses of this study are: there will be no significant impact of social gratification on drivers texting when controlled for the presence of a passenger. There will be no significant impact of social anxiety on drivers texting when controlled for the presence of a passenger. And there will be no significant impact of boredom on drivers texting when controlled for the presence of a passenger. An individual's intention to misuse an information system is moderated by the perceived severity and certainty of any sanctions. Most drivers recognize the potentially fatal consequences associated with texting while driving. However, 1 in 4 drivers report that texting has no impact on their driving performance. Thus, the 9th set of hypotheses of this study are: there will be no significant impact of social gratification on drivers texting when controlled for the perceived severity of the consequences of texting while driving. There will be no significant impact of social anxiety on drivers texting when controlled for the perceived severity of the consequences of texting while driving. There will be no significant impact of boredom on drivers texting when controlled for the perceived severity of the consequences of texting while driving. To please family members and significant others, drivers either reduce their texting or develop strategies to minimize detection. However, it is still unclear if these strategies to minimize detection are successful. Consequently, the 10th hypothesis of this study is: there will be no significant difference between family member reports on the frequency that a driver reads or types a text message and the driver's self-reported frequency of reading or typing text messages. I will now cover how we intend to measure each of the variables within the model. We will collect data for this research by surveying a dyad of a driver and a close family member. For the first variable, social relationship maintenance, we will use the self-perception of text message dependency questionnaire. This questionnaire is well suited to our research as it measures perception of emotional reaction, excessive use, and relationship maintenance. The second variable in the BLASST model is loneliness. To measure loneliness, we will use the revised UCLA loneliness scale. This is the scale most often used in the study of loneliness. Moving on to our third variable, social gratification, we will use the gratification sought from the IM use questionnaire. This questionnaire measures the gratification sought and obtained through instant messaging. For social anxiety, our fourth variable, we will use the brief version of the fear of negative evaluation scale to measure it. Individuals who score high on this scale tend to be socially anxious. For the fifth variable in the BLAST model, boredom, we will use the boredom proneness scale. This scale has proven to be very reliable in determining how bored a person may be. The extended general deterrence theory will be used to measure the moderating effect of consequences on a driver's texting behavior. This theory examined how the certainty and severity of negative consequences affected an individual's intention to misuse an information system. To measure a driver's texting behavior and the moderating impact of a passenger, we will adopt the questions used in the National Phone Survey on distracted driving attitudes and behaviors. This survey has been successfully used to gather data on driver texting behavior. For obtaining a family member's report on a driver's texting behavior, we will also use questions from the National Phone Survey on distracted driving attitudes and behaviors. Data analytics and knowledge discovery techniques will also be used to analyze, visualize, as well as display the data collected in this study. Data analytics is exploratory in nature and useful in the building and testing of theories. Visualization techniques associated with data analytics also help to better recognize patterns and relationships within a data set. Given that this type of research in the context of texting while driving appears to be new, this study will also seek to uncover some additional trends and findings from the data beyond the ones hypothesized here. As such, these knowledge discovery visualizations may also improve the interpretation of the data. Besides providing ways to quickly convey factual information, knowledge visualization techniques will also afford ways to express the insights and views developed during this research. That concludes the presentation. I hope that this has given you some insight into our research of this critical problem. We hope that the findings from this research will provide additional insight into why drivers continue to text, allowing for better deterrence to be devised. If you have any questions, I'm sure that Dr. Levy would be more than happy to answer them for you. Hvala.